Starfield is getting closer and closer to its release date in September, and in this video I'm going to talk about the one detail that Bethesda refuses to talk about when they are directly asked about it in interviews, something that could be a huge hidden feature in the game. I'm also going to talk about Goldilocks Zones and why these areas in the galaxy will be very important in order to find planets that have life. And Microsoft recently spoke about Starfield and revealed the real reason they decided to make it 100% exclusive to Xbox Series X and S and PC after they acquired Bethesda, and it's not the reason you think it is. And I also respond to many of your top comments as well, so fellow astronauts, let's jump in. So there is one question that Bethesda has refused to answer in their most recent interviews, something that I believe could be a much bigger feature or plot point to the game's story than we all realize. In a recent interview featured on the Kinda Funny Xcast, when Todd Howard was asked if Starfield would have black holes, he said the following.
Are there black holes in this game? And my dear friend Emily, she would kill me if I did not ask this, can Vasco wear a hat like Mr. Handy did in Fallout 4?
I'm going to pass on the first question. Can Vasco wear a hat? Not currently, but I'm sure that will be an early mod.
Now, usually Todd Howard would be upfront answering a yes or no question like this. After all, he was honest and told us that Starfield would not have land vehicles like rovers when he was asked about land vehicles. So, why the non-answer about black holes then? There are many implications for this, especially if the game does indeed end up having black holes, which I do believe is the case. And I think these black holes will tie into the main story a lot more than we think, especially with how sus Todd Howard is acting.
Are there black holes?
I'm going to pass on the first question.
Now, we all have a general idea of what a black hole is, but if you're wondering the exact definition of a black hole, this is what NASA had to say about it on their website. They said, a black hole is a place in space where gravity pulls so much that even light cannot get out. The gravity is so strong because matter has been squeezed into a tiny space. This can happen when a star is dying, and because no light can get out, people can't see black holes. They are invisible. Space telescopes with special tools can help find black holes, and the special tools can see how stars that are very close to black holes act differently than other stars. End quote. Of course, as we learn more about black holes as a human race, this definition could change, and I do believe that this is what Starfield will attempt to explore, and Starfield will possibly make black holes one of the big focal points of the game, adding even more to the mystery of black holes, or making us second guess what they are. And now let's talk about Goldilocks Zones in the game and what this means for your search for life across the 1,000 plus planets that are featured in Starfield. So as you probably know by now, 1 in 10 planets in Starfield will have life, so it will definitely be a priority for you to find these rare planets. And that's where Goldilocks Zones come in. These will be areas where planets will most likely have life. Now, Todd Howard did briefly mention Goldilocks Zones in his interview, but he didn't go in depth on how you can potentially use the game's interface to find these Goldilocks Zones. So it's really important as astronauts to really understand what a Goldilocks Zone is in the first place. So here's the actual definition. The Goldilocks Zone or habitable zone is the area around a star where it is not too hot and not too cold for liquid water to exist on the surface of surrounding planets. This means, of course, the chance of life is much higher if the planet has the right conditions. So when it comes to Starfield, you'll most likely want to find a star or sun that has the right distance from a certain planet or planets. Then you'll want to look at the stats of these planets to determine if it supports life and if it's considered to be in this Goldilocks habitable zone. For instance, this planet right here has a temperate temperature with water listed as biological, while this planet has absolutely no water. Obviously, the first planet will most likely contain life, and I'm guessing that the survey on that planet already discovered this since the water is listed as biological. And remember, fellow astronauts, once you do survey a planet and learn about it, you can then sell that info as credits and make money off of it. And Todd Howard also indicated that this is going to be a fun and important part of the game as well. Also, in a recent development, Microsoft revealed the real reason why they made Starfield exclusive to the Xbox Series X and S, as well as PC. Pete Hines, head of publishing at Bethesda, recently spoke about this, and according to Polygon.com, he said the following. He said, "As someone who has been playing Starfield a lot and sees all this stuff to do, there's no question in my mind that being able to focus on fewer platforms to support, hardware to support, has been a big benefit to the Starfield team. The fewer platforms you have quality assurance testers focused on, the more rounds of testing they can do. If you have 100 people testing 2 platforms, you can then put 50 on each. If you have 3, the math tells you that you have fewer people in those games. You're finding fewer problems. You're not going as fast. It's going to take longer. It's going to cost more." End quote. So Pete Hines is obviously saying that if they would have released this on both the Xbox Series X and the PlayStation 5, it would have taken a lot longer, and we potentially would have seen a lot more delays with Starfield. Now, of course, take that as you want, but leave a comment down below. What do you think about that? Do you think that ultimately Microsoft should have released it on the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series S and X, even though that may have meant a delay clear until 2024? Or do you think it's better what they're doing now, where it's only on the Xbox Series X and S and PC, and we're getting it sooner this year? So let me know again in the comments down below. And speaking of your comments, let's go over your top comments right now from the previous video, starting off with Katie's top comment, who said, "I wonder how viable a tiny ship only for you is. Maybe since it doesn't have the energy cost of maintaining a crew, you can make it stronger or faster more efficiently." So that's a really good point. I think we're going to see a lot of people having a secondary or even primary smaller ship that's used for getting around faster in the galaxy. And then also it'll be more nimble for dogfights as well, because, you know, cargo ships, of course, big ships like that won't be as nimble for dogfighting, but I'm sure they're going to have a lot more armor. So there's going to be trade-offs for larger ships, and there's going to be trade-offs for smaller ships as well. And now let's see what VanQuest5341 had to say. They said, "People are expecting to land on a planet, go explore the whole thing. I'm pretty confident it won't be like that. You will explore a mini-map area leading out from your ship. Don't know how big. You will then choose a different location from your ship, and it will take you there. I think this is a pretty big thing they need to clarify on very soon." So yeah, I believe they actually clarified this in the most recent interview. Todd Howard did talk more about the procedurally generated planets, how they all work, how when you land, it's going to procedurally generate an area. So he did talk about this, and then they also did mention that that area will be very big from what I understand. But the one thing that I really want to see are vehicles. So I really want to see vehicles added to the game where you can just roam around, maybe have a really cool rover, or maybe an upgraded vehicle with weaponry on it as well. So hopefully in the future we do get DLC for vehicles. And now it's time to wrap up the video. I enjoyed talking about Starfield with you all. If you felt the same way, hit that like button. And then also, if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe as well for all things Starfield. And then I'll be back again with another video on Starfield very soon as we continue to count down to Starfield's epic launch in September. Well, hopefully it's epic. Hopefully it's not buggy. We'll see what happens. I'll see you all later, fellow astronauts. Take care, take it easy, and see you later.